All right, how do you follow that? So I need to stand up, I guess. I should stand up. Let me first of all say that she's correct. You talking about reform? I probably need to go home and reform tonight because I had a dinner date I had to cancel tonight with my husband, so we will be reformed. And you said, what do? I said, what did I used to do at one time? But let me first of all say, what do I do? Right now, since last June, I've been like the interim superintendent for Local District 3. And prior to that, I was actually the director and worked with several schools in this area. And what do? I don't look at myself as having a title as an interim superintendent. I look at myself as a person who's working for children. How do I work for children? And how do I get others to collaborate, to come together? And not to look at if it's a charter school or it's a public school, but what do we do in a setting to work with children? So my goal is, what do? I do in matters of working with children. I go with teachers, I work with principals, I work with parents to let them know whatever happens with this budget or anything else, if we keep our goal focused on children, if we want to help others, from the plant managers all the way down to the cafeteria work and the teachers, if we all help children, if we all on the same page, and we all have the same goal, it does not matter what you call our school. We just have school. We do not need an adjective in front of that word school. We doing what's best for children. So what happens in my job as a superintendent if these things are not happening? How do we look at reform and how do we come together? We come together by saying, what is our goal? Our goal is to improve student achievement and have a student-centered environment that has data-driven, and we have some accountability to that. When I say accountability, what our job is, we all should be accountable for what we do. Without accountability, we cannot do that. Dr. Daisy is talking about now going from a sense of compliance, but performance. What do we do every day? Not just teachers. What do we do as administrators? What are we doing to show that we are working for children, and we have some data to show that? I see the sign that Walgrove has over there that says, education is not filling a bucket, but it's lighting a fire. So I said, what is my goal? What is my goal? My goal is to try to light that fire in my position, whether I am a director, a teacher, even a parent, or even a grandparent. How do I light that fire within others? And how do I forget about what role or what title I have, but how do I get others to come together to get on the same page, and we're going to truly reform all our schools. All our schools. How do we come together to do that? If we can't do it alone, how do we come as a partnership to do that? We do that by saying that we are here at the table together. We're at the same table, and we may have a different menu in front of us, but our menu when we get out and go is the menu to drive the education for our children. So what do? I do the job for children. Thank you.
Sophie? Good evening. My name is Sophie Finelli, and I'm the Director of Research and Policy at UCLA's Institute for Democracy, Education, and Access, known as UCLA IDEA. And I just wanted to say, our Director, John Rogers, wanted to make sure that I say that he's a former student of Vista Elementary School, so he's really sad that he couldn't be here tonight. Really proud of his time at Vista, so just a little plug for the school. As you probably can hear from my accent, I'm not a product of Vista Elementary School. So I'm actually from France, so it was fun to see the Lycée Français outside and kind of looking through their program offering out there. So we were asked to be here, I think, to provide a little bit of kind of an overview and background on what's happening in the state with the budget crisis and how it's impacting schools in LA and across the state, and really bringing back this frame. So I think in the past few years, and especially in the past few months, people are really fighting about what kind of reform is the most important reform of the day. Should we look at teacher evaluation? Is it charter school? Is it reforming high school or looking at middle schools? And what we really want to talk about at UCLA IDEA is really this notion of, instead of really fighting about re-slicing the pie, we should really be talking about expanding the pie, especially this year. So what we do at IDEA is we do a lot of research around educational opportunity and equity in the K-12 system and the way that opportunities impact achievement and the chances of students to then matriculate into college. I have some, I think, materials out here, and you probably can find copies of our report here and some data about California achievement overall. But I wanted to kind of talk about really the elephant in the room, which is the budget. I think that it would not make any sense to talk about what we can do for education if we don't talk about what we should be doing to reform the fiscal system in the state and to improve funding conditions for California schools. So I won't, go into a lot of details right now. I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions, but I'm hoping that's something that all of us on this panel agree on, that we should clearly rethink the way we fund schools, make sure that it's adequate and equitable, and that all students are served, whether they go to regular public schools or charter schools. Just real quick, maybe some key findings from our latest report, and I won't go into too many details because you have the reports out here, but we wanted to try to get a sense of what the cuts looked like in California high schools, and we know that the state data really doesn't reflect the latest numbers. So what we did last summer is we interviewed about a quarter of all high school principals in the state, and we asked them what happened in your schools, how the cuts impacting what's happening for students, teachers, and reform. So just real quick, just to highlight a few of these findings, what we found is that 60% of high schools have cut or completely eliminated summer school. 32% have cut after-school programs. 49% have cut instructional days since 2008. We also found that there is less attention from teachers and counselors, and as someone said earlier, we're already at the bottom in terms of teacher and counselor ratio to student in California. In fact, at the high school level, we would need to hire, I think, twice as many teachers that we have right now to be at the national average of the United States. So we are really far behind in terms of high school teachers. So 75% of high schools reported increasing their class size, 50% cut counselors, and 66% cut college counseling and career counseling support. I won't read everything, but 63% cut instructional materials. That means no calculators, measuring instruments, and labs in high schools. Cut to cut to curriculum. So we've heard about the art program at Westchester. So music and art are the first things to go. Social study electives are cut. They're not, the kind of these core math and science. They're not in the KC, so that's what goes first at the schools. And then a lot of schools also talked about cutting kind of this promising project-based learning program that high schools are trained to implement. So I won't go into more data, just one point, and I think two more points that are important, I think. One is an impact on safety. And that's something that I think parents usually are extremely concerned about at the high school level. So 46% reporting cutting back security guards and other staff, and that has impacted security and safety on campus. 67% report declines in the cleanliness and safety of classrooms. 34% cut translation services, which I think in schools that serve a diverse community is a very important issue. And I know I'm past my 3 minutes, so I will grow into two pieces, which is the growing inequality of funding. So as we're talking about the cuts that are affecting all schools, and I think schools in Vista are affected, schools in South LA, what we found is the capacity of parents to raise funds or to create, to kind of fill in the gap is very different depending on the school and the type of students that are going to the schools. And so that's something that I think we need to keep in mind in terms of what kind of California we want to see going forward, what kind of education system we want to see is kind of rethinking, past Prop 13 and past the kind of formulaic school finance system, is really thinking about what would be an equitable way to fund schools in California. Thank you.
Okay. Sophie, thank you. And
from France to Italy. I represent Green Dot Public Schools. We're the largest public charter operator in Los Angeles. We have 18 schools with 8,500 students. We mostly serve low-income communities, so this is not our usual crowd. We have a 95% free and reduced lunch population, 99% minority, 25% ELL. Population. We do have a school in Venice, however. Public charter schools, we're a nonprofit. Public charter schools are, while I represent charters, you won't hear me say that they are the solution. I think we're part of the solution, but we're certainly not the silver bullet to fix all the education problems in LA. Charters just represent a flexibility around how to use the budget. The budget goes straight to the school. And some charters do great use of that flexibility and that money, and some charters do terrible work with it. So I know great charters, I know terrible charters, I know great public schools and terrible public schools, and I know great private schools and terrible private schools. So, but I do believe that if we all kind of work together and learn from each other, there's a lot that we can share. And that it will require the entire system coming together to address this crisis. The one thing that I do believe that we bring is choice. Somehow in this debate, there is this issue that choice is bad, or some people feel it's good. I do believe that we have to acknowledge that somehow we're so used to choice in the United States. You know, we have 10 supermarkets in 1 mile, all selling the same Chiquita bananas, and somehow we feel that's okay. But it's not okay to choose where to send our kids to school. And I think that debate has to end. I do believe that that parents have the knowledge, and with transparency around data and quality of the programs, parents should be allowed to choose where to send their kids to school, just like they are allowed to choose where to send their kids to the doctor, where to go to university. I think there are so many aspects of even our public sectors where people get to choose, and somehow this is still a controversial issue in education. So I'll answer more questions later if people want to ask me something about it.
Thank you.
I blog, I don't talk usually, so. So Sarah Auerswald, I write Mar Vista Mom, as Kate said, thank you. I have 2 boys, one in elementary school at our home public school, and one in a middle school that's a charter. I've lived here since 1996, and I guess I became a parent activist the minute kindergarten started. I was PTA president for 3 years. I've been to SEAC, ELAC, SSC, DLAC meetings. I'm an over-volunteer. I think we need fewer over-volunteers and more volunteers. I have a love-hate relationship with the LAUSD. On the one hand, my kids have amazing teachers. We have a dual language Spanish immersion program that I can walk to from my house, and I've poured my heart and soul into that school. And on the other hand, when I tried to get the school painted by offering to pull together a band of volunteers and donated paint, I was told by an operations staffer that I would be charged with vandalism for such an act, and that they would never come and make repairs again at my school if I did that. So it's not easy, but it's our school. I also like to say LAUSD say they want parent involvement, but they don't always realize it comes with a price of the parents. When I started, I was universally welcomed. But a few years in, I had earned the nickname of the parent from hell because I was not satisfied with the status quo. I was always happy to staple the open court decodables and sell popcorn after school to raise money, but I also want to know why there are children who cannot read at grade level, and I want to help ensure that they do. I believe parent involvement is a critical component of school reform, but so is teacher involvement and community involvement. We cannot drop our kids off at 7:45 and never look back, nor can we leave at 2:40 and never look back. You can't keep going to the same well, or you end up with pneumonia, like some of us. So I apologize for the coughing. And you have to pull in the teachers and parents who are not volunteering, and we have to inspire them and inspire our community, and this is a great start. So thank you.